All right. Welcome back to Truth No Chaser, real talk for real people.
Even when it burns.
I'm your girl Ashley.
And Jay.
And Frank.
And we're kicking off today with No Chaser.
That's right, sir.
So, as we know, election's about to happen in November. Both candidates trying to aim for the black vote and pandering to us with all the ads and the comments. Frankie posed a great question, as he normally always does. Frankie, kick it off.
Yes. The question that I have is, why are black people so loyal to the Democratic Party?
Why are black people
I know that's a heavy and loaded question.
I need a drink on that one.
But why are black people so loyal to the Democratic Party? I read a few articles, so let me hear you guys first.
Well, the number one reason is because we've been told to be.
That's how I was going to say. Mine is short
it's
and
a
brief.
learned behavior.
I'm happy you said that, yeah.
It's a learned behavior. Now, we can examine whether or not it's the right decision or whether or not it's we should or shouldn't. But it's definitely a learned behavior. It's the same reason why a lot of, rural or affluent, white folks are loyal to the Republican Party.
Okay.
You listen to most people. Most people hate a plan based on what party it came from, whether they know the details of the plan or not. I remember one time being at work, and I was back when I was a police officer. Obama had a bill rolling out, and within the bill, it talked about cops' families being insured if the cop is killed in the line of duty. But the title of the plan didn't say anything about that, right? So all they heard was the name of the plan flash across the news, and the cop sit next to me. They go, "Bullshit plans, stupid." I said, "So you think it's stupid for your family to be insured if you live in the line of duty by download?" They said, "No." I said, "Well, that's what the plan is."
Yeah, right. So
but they were loyal to their party.
Right.
And we do the same thing.
And there was no understanding.
No attempt to understand. They won't understand. We just knew that it came from one place, so we ain't like it.
Right. So
and mine is very similar to the same thing. When I was thinking about it, I was like, that's all I knew. You know what I'm saying? As from the time I was born, and it kind of reminded me of like when you grow up, you're a Baptist. You go to church with your parents because that's what you know. Until you get older, you decide to look into different things. For politics, for me, I just never decided to look because I was like, oh, this is what we do.
Right.
Black people were Democrats, so we stick to me because Republicans were racist or whatever is always told. So I just always been a Democrat.
Yeah, just among formulating my own opinion and stuff like that, similar to what you just said, being raised it, right? You know what I'm saying? And just nobody really being able to give you a definitive answer.
An explanation,
an explanation of to why. But just reading what other people were saying in like Washington Post, Tribune, Princeton, stuff like that. And people were they were basically saying the same thing you just said, it's cognitive.
Right.
So learned behavior, routine. And Huffington actually said something kind of interesting where it said civil rights played a major part in why we vote Democratic. Right. It's not necessarily the uneducated that don't know why they're raising you to be such.
Right.
However, it's just remembering those that roll with you during those times, and the loyalty stays there no matter how wrong they've been done, or if over the years Republicans might have been your advantage if you were African American. You understand what I'm saying? I know that's hard to see for most people,
right?
But for especially people that raise us, the elders and stuff like that, it's going to be hard to convince them otherwise when they walked across some bridges in Selma and through Washington D.C. hand in hand with white counterparts that represented that party and stuff like that. So well,
one could argue that both forms. Okay, so there's a difference in two things. There's the Republican Party, and then there's the Republican form of governing a state, a country. There's the Democratic Party, and then there's the Democratic ideal of governing a state.
Yeah.
And separate from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, the ideal of the Republican form of running a government would be ideal for everyone, including black folks, right? So, not to say that the parties follow this, but the Republican form of government versus the Democratic form of government says, hey, the government has X amount of dollars raised by taxpayers, this, that, and the third. The issue in your neighborhood may be low graduation rates for black males, rather than the government sponsoring government programs for those black males in that neighborhood to come to, and this, that, and the third, and doing them all over the country wherever they have those problems, and then they kind of gauge the success rate. They go to the successors in the community. Remember we had Mr. Kimber on the show, who's the educator here in DeKalb County.
Yes.
So they would find a Mr. Kimber and work with him to establish a nonprofit, and others like him and other churches or other organizations like them, and funnel the money to them and say, okay, here's the problem with the black males in your community. You're a part of that community. Your leadership in that community will partner with you as the government. You fund it, you run it, you tell us what you need. Who can turn that down?
Right.
Whereas versus the Democratic form of government says, hey, we just going to come in and we're going to run the program, and if government's going to fund us, and we're going to manage the people, we're going to hire the counselors, and everyone come to us, and that way we're ensured that it's fair, that it works. But who can turn down fairness, right?
Yeah.
But of course, we like Kimber running the program. We know him. He's in the community. He knows the kids. He knows what they actually need.
Yeah.
Where that has flawed, when crossing from the Republican form of government to the Republican Party, is that resources continually go to Sandy Springs. And $1 in Sandy Springs goes further than $1 in DeKalb County.
Right.
Hello.
Okay.
So the scales become off balance.
I got you.
And there's nobody there to tip it back balance, because they say, well, if the scales are off balance, Mr. Kimber and his people should pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, like we did, not realizing that you had a damn head start. Not realizing that it was our grandfathers that made the damn boots.
Right.
That you're telling everybody to pull them up by.
Right.
So the ideal is to us so black people end up being loyal to the party that says, hey, look, it may not be as efficient, it may not be as glamorous or as like we wanted. Kimber may not be getting the money, but at least we're getting something that has some form of insurable fairness to it. And if it's not fair, we can take it to court and sue it. I'm gonna wrap this up because I don't think I'm gonna talk too long.
No.
But the problem with that is black folks, especially this election year, keep saying, what if the black Democratic Party has done for us? Democrats done, to quote John F. Kennedy, well, to paraphrase him, it's not about what our country has done for us. What have we done for our country? The thing is we've been absent from the process. We watch the Democratic get the money, Democratic Party get the money, and we want to stand back and we go, okay, work magic.
Yeah, what you gonna do with it?
Yeah, it still needs us to be a part of the process, and we keep being absent from the process, and then we have the audacity to ask the Democratic Party, well, what have you done for us? Well, where were you? They needed you to show up. In the absence of us showing up, they don't know what to do.
Right.
So now, actually, let me ask you. Jay just said a mouthful, but in everything that he said, let's dial back and re-ask the question, or rephrase the question rather, and that will be: is it time for us to start choosing our officials, our leaders, based off of individuality, based off what it is that they say that they're going to bring to the table versus the party? So because I asked why are we so loyal? Is it time for us to start being thoughtful on who is represented versus the party, the
label?
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. And I think I'll say personally for me is because I never took the time out to get educated on either party.
Right.
I just always say, I don't do politics, but in reality, it's what helps. Yeah, you have to. So stop being ignorant to it and start educating yourself and be in the know, so you know what's going on. And don't just vote because you're supposed to do anything. Right. Actually know the facts and why you're voting for that person, because they could be out to get you and you don't even know. Like, I was supposed to. My mom does it. My dad does it. That's what we do. Is it working? Is it working for you though? Yeah. So I say the thing is to start educating yourself and get the facts. Yeah. Instead of just sticking to one party. Because
I tell you what happens. And not just with the presidential elections, but city officials and stuff like that. When we the House or Senate, when it's time to start, we go to these polls and we just blindly picking people. We don't know what that person has done, what bills that person has signed off on that were damaging to us or my offspring. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it be via the laws or education. You
And not
understand
even
what I'm saying?
presidential, but even your local officials. And that's the thing
That's
people
it.
keep saying, because
Facts.
you vote them judges in. So when
Facts.
Puig gets arrested and goes to jail,
Facts.
you vote a judge in that's going to send him away forever. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be more mindful, not just still the big general election, the presidential election, I'm sorry, but also all the elections, local, everything. You have to be more involved and know who you're voting for.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You know, the rapper Saigon, in his attempt to be conscious, you know, he said one time in a song, you know, Obama been in for 4 years. I voted for Obama. He been in 4 years, and my block's still hot.
Right. That's
And the
It's
thing
more
is,
just Obama.
yeah, the people who control your block are your city councilmen,
Exactly.
your aldermen. If you live in the city with an alderman, you know, your county commissioners, those things. But most of us can't name the folks on those ballots.
right. He's not the president of your block.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Not only that, those are the people who have a direct effect on your everyday living.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we go vote for the presidential election, let's be honest, we vote for the party ticket. And that Democratic judge might not be what you need.
Right.
Or that Republican, if you vote straight Republican ticket, that Republican councilman might not be what you need. Your block might need that Democratic councilman or whatever.
And we regret to mention, you know, when we were talking about the debates, right? So we were talking about the debates earlier, and, you know, that's another question that gets answered weirdly, you know, when you ask 45, you know, what exactly have you I've done more for the Republican Party. I've done more than any other Republican, you know, for the black community besides Abraham Lincoln, right? That's what
he says the blacks, which I hate that. But go ahead.
You know what? Listen, I knew that he was. I wanted him to say that shit. But anyway, he goes. But one thing he always throws out there when you ask him, what have you done? Okay, since he's always saying that shit, what have you done? Prison reform.
And why are we there?
Can you associate us with anything else? Is it give me something else that you've done? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a number of things he throws out.
So what about the ones that aren't getting arrested? What about the ones that aren't getting arrested?
That's
What are you
cool.
for me? I'm not getting arrested. I'm not in jail.
Right, and I appreciate that. But what about those that don't aspire?
Well, I hate
they have. You understand what I'm saying? Don't have any criminal records. That, you know.
What have you done?
Yeah,
I hate the question. Who's done more for the black community? What have you done? Because it's like
They
asking,
single us out.
Well, it's like asking what turtle has run the fastest on the molasses track.
right.
No matter who's in power, America still ain't America in the way it's structured.
Right.
Ain't for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, unless somebody, which neither party has done ever in history, because that's not even across party bounds, it's more of a classism issue.
Yeah.
Unless America restructures itself to make it a fair, going back to what I said about, you know, fair balance for minorities who, after 400 years, have not been able to even allowed to be educated. You know what I mean? Asking who's done more for black people is like, bro, we running on the molasses track.
Right. And a better question. So then what have you done for the black community? Probably what will you do to end systemic? What will you do about systemic racism?
Systemic race. That's the better question.
That's a better question than
That's
what
it.
have you done for the black community?
Yeah, because it's basically who's asking. You know, the question is, you know, is who's kissed the most babies?
Yeah.
Who's throwing enough bullshit out there to, you know, pacify us? But that's the question.
Absolutely.
How are we ending systemic racism, even with Trump's platinum plan?
Right. So this is a good talk, man. Honestly, you know, the people, you know, for our listeners out there, man, this is actually a conversation that needs to be had more often than not. You know what I'm saying? You know, encouraging each other to get out there, like Ashley says, time and time again, educate yourself, because it's time. You know, if you're in our age group or pushing 40 or 40 and over, that's a bad excuse right now to not,
and that's it,
to not know.
You'll educate yourself on your favorite football team or basketball team. You'll educate yourself on stats and the rappers and whatever's going on. But what matters the most?
What matters the most?
What matters the most? We're out here dying left and right.
You know, and it's cool to be well versed.
Yeah, and think about
it's not corny. It's not corny.
No, you're right. It's not corny. Yeah, it's cool to be well versed. Yeah,
and I mean, and think about all of your interests, your children, educational interests. You run a business, tax laws. You know, the type of business you run.
Yes.
Like for us, we're podcasts.
Yeah.
There's actually a court battle going on over streaming services.
Right.
Who can offer them? Who can control them? This, that, and the third. How many bandwidths of quality streaming are awarded to these type of companies versus that? We should be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and every business has something on the table. That's what lobbyists are for.
Yeah.
They represent the interests of everyone in that industry.
That's
You know,
what's up, man.
So there's plenty of information out there for you to keep yourself informed.
So,
yes.
yeah,
so we definitely want to encourage you guys all out there to educate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Take time out this week to really know who you're voting for and why. And not, like I said, not just the presidential candidates, but also your local officials as well,
Right.
because it's out here harming
not just
us.
not just
Yes.
the party, not just the party. Set that for us
Exactly.
aside for a sec, and let's who
Because
you're
Democrat
voting
does not
for.
mean black people. It does not
It
mean
doesn't.
it
That's
doesn't
not.
mean
It's not.
black
It's not an
people.
acronym.
Right.
It's not a alias.
Not at all. Not at all.
Clinton did help further that loyalty. Right.
Yeah, it kind of did.
Then
All right,
Obama.
y'all. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna check out now. I'm sorry. So yeah, check us out next week
Yes, sir.
and go vote. 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 Vote.
All day.
Please do.
Truth. No chaser.